My father once told me he tried to live on just $1 for every 10 he earned to ensure he never went hungry again. This wasn't just a budgeting tip. It was a survival strategy born on the streets of Shanghai. While that sounds extreme, it's the secret weapon that bridges the massive gap between average savers and the ultra-frugal who achieve financial freedom in their 30s. Today, I'm going to show you how adopting a temporary scarcity mindset in your early career can be the most powerful move you ever make to radically lower your cost of living and secure your future. But before we dive into the math of living on 10% of your income, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're building a community dedicated to aggressive wealth building and intentional living, and I don't want you to miss our next deep dive into the strategies that actually move the needle. The rule reimagined. Most people have heard of the 10% rule, the idea that you should save $1 for every $10 you make. It's a great starting point for those struggling to put anything aside. But for those seeking radical independence, we're flipping the script. We are talking about living on 10% and saving 90%. This level of radical frugality is a cornerstone of the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. While the average person struggles to save because of lifestyle inflation, the 1-in-10 rule forces you to focus on your focused dividend, the increase in productivity and clarity that comes when you are acutely focused on a single pursuit, freedom. The power of tunneling. To make this work, you have to understand the psychology of scarcity. A scarcity mindset is often seen as negative, the fear that there will never be enough. It can lead to tunneling, where you focus so much on immediate needs that you neglect long-term goals. However, when used intentionally, you can force the goal of financial freedom into that tunnel. By living as if resources are scarce now, you create a tunneling tax on your current lifestyle to pay for a lifetime of time freedom later. But there's a catch. You have to know the difference between being frugal and being cheap. Frugal is intentional. You buy the $200 winter coat because the cost per use over 10 years is lower than a cheap clearance coat that falls apart in a month. Cheap is acting out of fear. It's skipping a friend's wedding gift or not tipping your server. The 1-in-10 rule is about being the most intentional version of frugal, not the most restrictive version of cheap. Bridging the gap, the math of FIRE. Why go to this extreme? Because the math of the rule of 25 is elegant. To retire, you generally need to save 25 times your annual expenses. If you live on 90% of your income, it could take you decades to reach that number. But if you can live on 10%, your FIRE number becomes tiny, and your savings rate is so aggressive that you could potentially buy back your freedom in just a few years. Every dollar you save today isn't just a dollar. It's a day of freedom you've purchased for your future self. The transition to abundance. Here is the most important part. You cannot stay in a scarcity mindset forever. Constantly living under the pressure of survival thinking protects you in danger, but it eventually limits your growth. If you stay in scarcity too long, your bandwidth, the cognitive space you need to process problems, will deplete, leading to burnout. As your wealth grows and your cash flow stabilizes, you must intentionally shift toward an abundance mindset. This is the belief that there is plenty of opportunity out there and that the money you've built is enough to support a life of purpose, not just a life of lack. Abundance means redefining success on your own terms, not based on consumerism. Moving on micro actions that feel abundant, like finally taking that trip you've been saving for. Practicing gratitude for what you've built so you don't become a cog in the consumerist wheel. My father lived on 1-in-10 to survive. You can use it to thrive. Start by identifying your scarcity beliefs. What stories are you telling yourself about why you can't save? Then, set a personal goal. It doesn't have to be 90% savings on day one. But what if you tried to live on just $1 less for every 10 this month? If you found this breakdown of the 1-in-10 rule helpful, give this video a thumbs up. And I want to hear from you in the comments. What is one luxury you're willing to cut this month to buy back a piece of your future freedom? Thanks for watching, and remember, financial independence isn't about not working. It's about working without fear. I'll see you in the next video.